This is Business Therapy, healing businesses from the inside out through communication and emotional intelligence. I'm Diane Hansen, management consultant, and with me co-host Christine Salvo, therapist, certified mediator, and certified hypnotherapist.
Good morning, everybody. Hello.
Good morning, everybody. And today on the show, we have Aziz and Jerry, the Love Snobs. First things first, let's kill the elephant in the room by answering the question most asked of them. Why Aziz and Jerry? They don't have PhDs. They didn't go to school to master the science of relationships in a university. The Love Snobs, Aziz and Jerry, are two friends of 25 years that decided they were tired of being the exception in the room when the word love came up. They saw love as support, not a death sentence for the gullible. Their fatigue didn't cause them to complain, disconnect, nor quit. It encouraged them to start Love is a Group Journey, a business dedicated to building equal and healthier relationships. Everyone should have support. Welcome to the show, Aziz and Jerry.
Hi, thanks for having us. Good morning, everyone.
So this is a really special treat for me because I've been working with the Love Snobs. I found them basically on accident one day. I was scrolling through my Facebook feed and it was like this live conversation was happening and I'm like, I've got nothing better to do. And I hit on it. And they're just brilliant human beings with their hearts wide open. And you can really tell that they don't just teach it, they live it, they practice it. And so we're really here today to kind of talk about the principles of love as a group journey and kind of what that means and then transferring that into the workplace.
And I'm so curious, what is the story behind calling yourselves the Love Snobs?
Well, I mean, first off, we're snobs for love. We believe love is the highest value in life. So if you are not a snob for love, how could you really focus on making it a priority? So we decided to call ourselves the Love Snobs, and we want more Love Snobs around the world. You know, that's our goal. Everybody should be a Love Snob.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you've been friends for 25 years. How did you come together to start this journey of teaching people how to love?
I mean, we've been friends for a long time, and we believe that love is a group journey, and we believe in the village mentality. And like Christine said, we live it every day. So, we met people along the way. Everyone has the same struggle with relationships. So we decided to come together and teach it, to teach people how to live, how to have healthier relationships.
Plus, we've been everybody's sounding board for about 2 years before that.
Yeah.
We decided to now, make it a business and allow people to really flourish in their relationships. Invest in their relationships. They can invest in their relationships and they're ready to, start living equal and healthy relationships.
And by invest in relationships, how does one invest in their relationships?
Well, show up ready. Show up ready to give half of you and bring in everything that you come with and allow yourself to be open to everything that they bring to the table.
And also be open to communicate and have the discussion.
Definitely. And I mean, your topic that y'all do discuss, emotional intelligence, is very important.
Yeah.
Having discussions and really living in relationships, because you really have to navigate through a lot of happenstance, a lot of things that occur, a lot of emotional ups and downs, and you have to be able to articulate in real time to really resolve some of those issues.
So in a working environment, bringing what you have to the table, being ready and willing to show up completely, how would that translate to your day-to-day office life versus, say, a romantic relationship?
Well, it starts with accountability, and it starts with really putting down the framework and really creating standards and boundaries within the workplace. So, but it starts with a person that's showing up to work, that is ready, is showing up and wanting to be accountable within the workspace, accountable for their role and responsibility, accountable for how they show up every day, accountable for the things that they have on their plate, accountable to say, I'm overwhelmed and I need help. So I think that it starts there. As long as you're accountable in the workplace, I think that's a huge stepping stone and a foundation to what's needed to have healthy work relationships.
Definitely. We believe in accountable love. Obviously, if y'all know us, we believe in accountable love. So obviously every job has a job description. So when you read your job description and you decide that you're going to sign up for that job, you have to really, really, really look at that job description and live it every day and show up with that job description every day. And if you go above and beyond, obviously you'll get promotions and things of that nature, but you do have to at least show up with that job description that you signed on for.
Yeah, I that's one of the things I really love about working with you guys and kind of my personal work and being part of your group that you guys have. Is their bar is really, really high. And I love it. I love it because you guys are not afraid to have a high bar. You're not afraid to really stand 2 feet in that, right? And so much of the conversations that we've had on your show and your Facebook group is about not letting the bar drop, but holding that consistent bar and letting people rise. And if people don't rise, letting them go.
Mm-hmm.
It's on them. But I mean, even in the workforce, like, you want people that you believe in to work alongside you. And if you give them passes, it shows lack of belief. It shows lack of ability. But if you believe in people, you're inspiring them to actually live to their highest standard. So it's important to really actually raise the bar, or at least have the bar at a level where they can reach, and show them, listen, you can reach this bar. I believe in you. You have to start believing in yourself. So it's important.
Yeah, being unafraid to have those conversations, right? At the workplace, if you're working with someone and they're not really pulling their weight, or their heart is not in it, is having that hard discussion about, maybe this is not the place for you, or since you're here, make the best of it till you find something different. Work can be so toxic at times, right? Especially when you're around people that don't want to be there, right? So it's when you are in that space, it's trying to navigate through that space and making sure that people are still showing up, even if they don't want to be there, even if they are unhappy at the moment and they want something different. It's calling them out on it, having the conversation and saying, hey, you don't seem really happy here. Maybe you should really think about something else. But in the meantime, show up every day. Be who we're paying you to, be the person that we're paying you to be, basically.
Right. I think it's staggering how many companies, they'll put out a job description, but they actually don't know first thing what they're hiring for, because what they're hiring for is an alignment in their company culture, alignment in their belief system. And that includes the emotional intelligence skills that are needed to be successful at that particular organization, as well as the strengths that organization needs. So part of what I do in management consulting is I help organizations align those cultural aspects, but it's often the missing piece, because in relationship, you're, especially in the company setting, you're actually in a relationship with the whole. The whole has a vibe to it, and you're in relationship to the whole vibe, as well as the individuals that you have to work with on a day-to-day basis. So it's really quite complex. But if you're not aligned with a company culture, it seems like even individually, we have a culture that people are going to align with or not. Definitely. So do you have any experience in that realm?
Well, yeah, that's a really good point, because a lot of times when you're hiring for a position, you're looking at the resume and you're seeing if they have the credentials to actually do the job. But there's, like you said, there's a big part of it that no one ever wants to talk about. So when I'm hiring for my team, I usually have that. I talk about the culture of the workplace. I tell them what it is day in and day out. And, you kind of ask questions to see what their temperament is, because not everyone can thrive in certain environments. And that's important too. Like, just because you have this amazing resume and you went to school and you have all these credentials, if you can't really fit in with the culture and adapt, then you're really not going to be successful there or happy. So I think that, it's really important to have those discussions when you're interviewing, to give the other person on the other side choice, right? Yeah. They know what they're getting themselves into. They're signing up and they say, you know what, I think I can do this. And I buy into the culture. I believe in everything that, the company stands for. I'm on. And then there's some people like, that's not the culture for me. I'll pass. So I think it's important that when you are hiring people, that you have those discussions.
I love that you said that. And I want to kind of add to that a little bit too, of this idea that what looks good on paper. And we're typically, when you're dating, so love is a group journey, and we're talking about personal relationships. And when I even like to think that we date our friends in the beginning, right? There is kind of a courtship in the beginning of like, I'm getting to know you, we're spending more time together, I'm cutting out time in my life, we're going to have these different situations, see how we. So there is kind of this romantic side of anything new, whether it's the new job and like you're so excited about it and you bring your best until you don't.
Mm-hmm.
The new relationship when you bring your best until you don't. The new friendship when you bring your best until you don't. So this accountability piece, I think, really touches on the after. The after it looks good on paper.
Mm-hmm.
And what do we do after it looks good on paper? So sure, it seemed like a match. They seemed like they loved the culture. They seemed like they loved you. They seemed like they loved the friendship or the relationship or whatever. Because it's really, I don't think we have to kind of pigeonhole it. It goes everywhere. It's just the idea of what happens next when the paper doesn't match the personality, or they give it your all and then you realize that that really was their 10, but they can't be a consistent 10. Where's the accountability kind of in this?
Definitely. I mean, I've been in a culture where they lack leadership in the job force, and you come in and you don't really want to destroy the culture, but actually, you want to actually put your best foot forward. So you actually want to be a leader and adjust the culture to have a more of a leadership staff, or a leadership role, or have room for leaders. And I've been in between management and lower management, and it was a difficult being wedged in between the two. So like sometimes you go into a job market or a job force without a culture at all. So you really don't know where to fit and where you're going. You're just constantly moving. And if you're a person that is a leader, you need to establish some form of a culture. So you bump heads with management, you bump heads with lower management, like it gets very difficult. So I do think that accountability goes both ways.
Well, yeah, I agree with that too. But to answer Christine's question, like, yeah, what happens when someone thought that they fit into the culture and they really don't? And I've had experienced that in the workplace, and it's really unfortunate, right? Because you have this person who on paper had the potential to be amazing, and they just couldn't get it together, right? And it's really not too much a fault of their own, because I think temperament plays a big part in it. I think, like you said, emotional intelligence plays a big part in it, and there's the work ethic part of it. So I think that when those things happen, it's unfortunate that you have to have the discussion that maybe this is not the role for you, or maybe this is not the company for you, and kind of have them, be able to part ways, but in a way where, like, you kind of phase them out of the role, instead of like this hard fire because they did something absolutely bad and they have to go. So I think that sometimes you think that you are built for certain things and you're not. And I think that that's okay, but you need to communicate that and just say, you know what, I signed on thinking that this was the job for me, but I'm struggling. And this culture is really, I cannot strive in this environment. And I think it goes both ways. Instead of management going to the person can also go to management, just say like, I thought I was built for this, but I'm really not.
I really like that you're hitting on this idea of the reverse 2-week notice.
Yeah.
And that's actually a new concept in business, that it's like the employee is the only one that can give that 2 weeks, and then the employer is supposed to grant it.
Mm-hmm.
I love the idea of a job actually saying like, here's your 30 days notice, start looking, like we're going to start phasing you out. I think that's brilliant, and that it should be able to go both ways.
It should, especially
a harsh fire can really affect someone's life. And maybe they can do something else for the next month while they look for something that's under their pay grade, maybe helping a different department do the shredding or the filing or whatever, help get caught up. But we both have the agreement that this is ending by a certain day. I think that's really forward thinking.
Well, yeah, I think that more companies should offer that, because, again, you have these great people, right? They just are not, they're just not great in that space.
Mm-hmm.
Or that particular role,
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the biggest time bombs that exists in business today is the performance review.
Yeah.
And because the performance review is given, and then it's left to float. So no coaching, no how are you going to get from point A to point B. It just, here's what's wrong and go fix it. So having that that plan in place. So even if you give hey, these are the areas in which we're not seeing alignment, here's where we see you can move from a level 1 of comprehension to a level 5 of comprehension. And we're going to give you this time to move there. Here's the company culture areas where, we think that, maybe you could use some shoring up and providing that guidance. I think too often, even in relationship, we give notice and then we give no path to improvement. So these are my needs. This is what's not being met on that side. Hey, is there anything from us that's not being met on your side? Yeah. Okay, let's give each other a 360. Let's look at what the performance improvement plan is going to be to strengthen this relationship. I have a client who's in New Zealand. And what happened and how they came to me is the boss said, you have these issues and we're going to get you a coach to help you with these issues. And then when I start an engagement, I do a performance assessment. Like, where are you? Not only in your eyes, but in your supervisor's eyes, where are you? And then together we develop a plan to move along that spectrum toward improvement. But many companies don't do that. They say, you're doing this wrong, this wrong, this wrong, this wrong, and figure it out.
Well, a lot of companies are transitioning to having you rate yourself. Like, you fill out your own what am I thinking? Self-evaluation. And then they fill out an evaluation, and then they sit down with you and they, bounce ideas off each other. So I think they are trying to fix that. I don't know if it's for legal purposes or whatever, but I'm thinking they're trying to really fix that and start working with their employees a lot better. So I see that as a great tool, and that's something that's improving.
I'd give myself all fours. Excellent.
They want to see
I'd be the difficult employee because they'd be like, we disagree. And I'm like, why? That's tragic. Oh my God. What? Right.
So the great thing is that the real mastery score lies between the employer's evaluation and the employee's evaluation.
Right.
And a plan is developed from there.
The
so
average.
It completely removes any bias on anyone's part. but that plan, and that's true two-way communication. If something is going south, don't just say it's going south and leave it. It's going south, and let's have an accountable, open discussion on how to move that needle, to where we want. And then if it's still not working, if it's not working for you, or if it's not working for us, or both, let's just decide to be amicable and give you some time to find a new position. I think that would be beautiful.
I do too. And I want to say for Aziz really quick, because he loves doing this on his show. How would you define accountability in the workplace? I just want to know your definition.
I think I just defined it. It's like showing up with the job description that you signed on for on a daily basis. And if you're not up to par, or you feeling like things are going wrong, making sure you open your mouth, making sure you have discussions, making sure you go up the chain of command, things of that nature, making sure that you're open to listen, making sure you're open to receive as well as speak, making sure if you're managing anybody, you're looking at their strengths and weaknesses, and you're making sure you maximize on their strengths, and you're making sure that you are supportive in their weaknesses. So I think that's how I would define, accountability in the workforce. It's very easy. I would think it's easy because, it's about just going to work and really wanting the best for everybody around you and being the best employee you can be.
Okay, so let's flip it on its head. Now that we've handled business, let's handle the business of love.
Look at the smiles. We got big smiles there.
Jerry was ready. Yep.
So we have the business and all the relationships, but when it comes to love, there is just a different level of everything. So how does this transform when it gets personal?
What you mean from
In the workplace?
personal?
Outside of the workplace, when it's personal, when it's romantic.
It's the same thing. You still have to lead. You have to still want to be accountable within your relationships. You still want to have open lines of communication. You still want to have the conversations about your principles and your beliefs and see if you guys are truly connecting outside of just the feeling of wanting to be around each other. So it's not as it's personal because, you know, this is your personal life and you're building outside of work, but it's still the same concept, just it's a lot more like there's not that, I guess, PC involved. You can totally be yourself. You can totally let somebody in. And it's really about just making sure that you are communicating what you need, what you want, and what you're looking for, and seeing if you're getting that in return.
I would say when you first start off any relationship, it's just like when you go and sign up for a job, you're looking for where you're trying to go in the job. So it's the same with a relationship. If you start a relationship and you're dating somebody or you have a friendship with somebody, you should look at the years that you're willing to put in. Are you willing to make this a lifelong thing? Then you live from the lifelong backwards. Are you willing to make this a 10-year thing? Is it just like a quick thing? I think you need to be upfront with where you're at, where you want to go. And I think once you're in that space, in that headspace, you're ready to really put forth the effort necessary to do it. So I think love is something a lot of people get off with the emotional aspect of love, but love is a principle.
Yeah.
Set of principles that you show up every day with, and you make sure that you become you're everything that you say you're going to be, and nothing below or nothing above. You just have to show up being everything you said you was going to be. It's a promise.
I love that. And for both of you, you know, and I know you're going to say something really juicy about it, but so often I see this, I hear this from friends and whatever. I've been in that shoe myself, where there's a lot of fear around just being accountable, right? Like if I hold them, should I ask what their intentions are? Should I ask what the future holds? Should I ask if they're interested in me? Should I ask? And there's so much fear and weight. I don't know if it's a female thing. I'm just coming from that perspective, or if it's both sides. But it feels so risky for people to ask these questions of like, where do you see this going? Do you like me? What do you like about me? Right? And I'd love you guys to kind of add to that.
Yeah, I don't think it's a female thing. I think it's universal. I think people go in wanting things to be light, and if the other one is light, they don't want to go too deep. And I think, you know, what I've learned over time is that if I meet a person who doesn't want to go as deep as I want to go, then they're probably not the person for me. And then you keep going. Anyone that says it's too soon, if anyone says you're asking too many questions, you're not the guy. You're not the guy. You're not the friend for me. You're not, like, because if I'm getting to know you, right, and I'm vetting you, and I want to see if we have the potential to be together, then I should be able to ask any question. That I should be able to ask 1,000 questions, and you should be able to want to ask me the same questions and also answer them. So I think that's a red flag for me personally. That if I'm asking questions and someone shuts me down, or you're going too deep, or I just met you yesterday, or, you know, it's only been 2 weeks, then they're really not the person for me.
Yeah, to add to Jerry, when we really look at relationships, and let's say it's the people that we're meeting for the first time, we're nothing but questions.
Yeah.
There's no answers there. So we have to ask a bunch of questions. So we always say, when you're interviewing people for your life, they're the most important interviews in the world. So everybody that feels like they're on interviews when they're on the first date, or they're on interviews when they're meeting somebody new to be friends with, yeah, you're on an interview, the most important of your life. You're introducing these people to your kids. You're introducing these people to your family. You're introducing these people to everybody you know. And if they're a bad seed, they can really rock your world. They can really rock your life. So you really want to know what you're dealing with before you go into it. So yeah, we're going to ask questions. And if you're afraid to ask questions, then are you really truly ready for a commitment? Because if you see commitment as jail and not freedom, then of course you're going to be scared. But commitment should be freedom. Should mean less people I have to worry about dating, less people I got to worry about appeasing, less people. You're just focused on the people that you're actually committed to.
I love that. And then bringing it kind of back, sorry, Diane, but bringing it back to the workplace, looking at this idea of when you're interviewing at the job, you are encouraged to know what your salary is, what your work schedule is, what your time off is, what their intentions are, if there's ability to move up in the company. And you're encouraged. Like, if you don't ask those questions in the interview, you're actually seen as like, are you not interested? Because an employer wants an employee that's like, I want to know everything about your company culture, what you got. Even your stock profile, like, are you healthy economically? Am I going to be looking for a job in a year? Like, so it's so funny that we kind of looked at the two areas, and in one area, it's kind of weird to have the accountability and the conversations. In the other area, it's not. And we're looking at kind of the same flip-flops for the accountability piece. Sorry, Diane, go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what I was going to say. Great minds think alike. We are encouraged to ask all of these questions when we're interviewing. And it's when they ask you, so do you have any questions from us? Oh, no, thank you. I think I have everything. Really? Do you?
Yeah.
Or are you just afraid of losing that relationship by saying something wrong? So the times where I've interviewed people, and then the lack of the heavy compliance, the heavy lack of questioning is really just this fear. And I can see the same thing coming across in the personal relationships. Like, I really like you right now based on what I see and what you're offering me and the side you're choosing to show me. And I'm not going to ask anything because I'm afraid I'm going to uncover something I don't like. And then this idea of you, this fantasy of you is just going to evaporate. So I'm really not going to ask that many questions. I'm just going to allow you to continue to show yourself and see what shows up, because I'm really enjoying getting to know you, but getting to know you from only that one angle that you want me to see. So getting curious is really, looking at all the angles, not being afraid to say, hey, and going back to the job, hey, the last person that wasn't successful in this position, why weren't they successful? What is it in an unsuccessful employee that you really don't want to repeat in the next?
I love that.
That's an uncomfortable question, but that's also one that says, you know what? I'm going to know point blank that unsuccessful employee wouldn't work 60 hours a week. Mm-hmm. Ooh, that's not me. Now you've asked the uncomfortable question that's led to, ooh, that might be out of alignment. So being in this state of, kind of don't ask, don't tell, so to speak, in relationships is we need to ask, we need to open, we need to ask, explore, get to know. My goodness, this episode has flown by like lightning. You guys are amazing. So if our audience wanted to look into you and see what you're all about, what's your website?
Loveisagroup.journey.com.
Loveisagroup.journey.com. Well, thank you so much, Aziz and Jerry, for being on our show. It was fantastic having you.
Well, yes. Thank you guys for having us.
Thank you.
Discussion.
Yeah, it was a great discussion. Thank you, guys.
We appreciate it.
This has been Business Therapy, healing businesses from the inside out through communication and emotional intelligence. I'm Diane Hansen, management consultant.
And I'm Christine Salvo, licensed marriage and family therapist, certified mediator, and certified hypnotherapist. Accountable love will save your day. Have an awesome day. Thank you.
Have a great day. Bye-bye. This is Business Therapy, healing businesses from the inside out through communication and emotional intelligence. I'm Diane Hansen, management consultant, and with me co-host Christine Salvo, therapist, certified mediator, and certified hypnotherapist.
Good morning, everybody. Hello.
Good morning, everybody. And today on the show, we have Aziz and Jerry, the Love Snobs. First things first, let's kill the elephant in the room by answering the question most asked of them. Why Aziz and Jerry? They don't have PhDs. They didn't go to school to master the science of relationships in a university. The Love Snobs, Aziz and Jerry.